Hello everyone. Okay, I hope we're all having a wonderful day. What this session is going to be about is, does the UK have a democratic deficit? Okay, now the first thing to understand is, what is democracy and what is meant by deficit? Well, we've already been looking in previous lessons about democracy and the different types of democracy. So a pluralistic democracy, remember, is one where there's competition between different groups, could be parties, could be individuals, could be pressure groups, in order to exercise kind of power and authority. And there's also a dispersal of power, so it's not all centred in one place, it's dispersed down to different kinds of groups and organisations. Now, democratic deficits, what that means is I suppose it means what gaps there are in our democracy. So which areas of the British political system or society lack democracy, where there isn't a competition between different groups, or that competition is skewed perhaps to certain groups. What are the weaknesses, I suppose, in our democratic system? Now, in your booklet, you've got a table which looks a bit like that, and where you can see it. It has the title, "To what extent does the UK have a democratic deficit?" And at the top it says democratic deficit means. So that's where you write it. It means where there's gaps, holes, weaknesses in our democratic system. Then on the table, I've put on here a number of kind of institutions within the British political system. So you've got monarchy, House of Commons, House of Lords, Prerogative Powers, the Prime Minister, judicial independence, media, participation in UK democracy, which is what you've done in a previous lesson. So for that one you can use your previous knowledge. Process of elections in the UK and pressure group activity. This is one of those topic areas. In some ways it's better to be done when we finish the entire course. But anyway, it's in Unit 1, it's at the beginning. So it gives you a bit of a taste into these different institutions. So what you need to do is, for each one, you need to say what aspects of that institution or group can be considered to be democratic, what aspects of that group institution can be considered to be not democratic. One or two of them are very much one way or the other. Like for the monarchy, for example, I can't think of anything democratic about the British monarchy, because you only get to become the monarch or head of state if your sperm and egg comes from a certain individual couple, doesn't it? So for that one, I can't see a monarchy being democratic at all. So that would clearly be not democratic, you would write, because you cannot become elected to head of state. You can only get there due to luck. But some of them are a bit more kind of mixed. Like the House of Commons, as you'll find out, in some ways is democratic, but actually the way in which MPs are elected, which you'll need to find out about, is perhaps not very democratic. So find out what these things are. Now, what you'll probably need to do is the Lynch textbook and the edXL textbook kind of cover these areas within the chapter which is on themes for democracy and participation. But feel free to look in the other sections of Unit 1 and Unit 2. So pop into the Parliament section, perhaps look at the textbook chapters on Parliament. Just have a quick flick through to see what it says about the House of Commons, and is it democratic or not, or the House of Lords, or whatever. In terms of phrases, prerogative powers of the Prime Minister. This is a bit of a posh phrase, the prerogative powers. This is powers which the Prime Minister has gained due to the monarchy. So they are powers which are reserved for the monarch, which the monarchy has very kindly, in the last 150 years or so, given to the Prime Minister. Things like, for example, using the military in conflicts abroad. Okay. They also have a role, they kind of have prerogative powers in terms of promoting people or recommending people to certain positions. So again, look in the executive section of Unit 2 in the textbooks, where it talks about prerogative powers of the Prime Minister, and then you can see whether you think any aspect of that is democratic or not democratic. Okay, so if you get that done, there's a fair bit there. Just requires you having to look round a bit, basically, to find some of the information. And there's 3 dots or bullet points afterwards called, what are the main strengths of democracy in the UK, what are the main weaknesses of democracy in the UK, and then how could our democracy be improved? So you want to look at these parts which are not very democratic, have a think about what could we do to improve democracy in those areas. Okay, that might be the abolition of the monarchy possibly, it might be about electing certain institutions or some way of limiting the influence of certain groups. Okay, any questions on that, send me an email. So that needs to be get done, and have a real good think about and find out about those different aspects, because again this could be an exam question, you know, evaluate the extent to which the UK is not a very democratic country or something of that nature, and you need to have those 3 giant paragraphs talking about, well, it is here but not so much here, or whatever. Okay,